I was crying for the first 3 weeks of my life. I missed my family. It was a different country, a different language. There was an amazing experience within the course of it, but the beginnings are always hard.
Someone will come to you today and see the outcome, even though our outcome in the end might be different, but the start is always the same. Like you have to always do the things that you don't want to do.
You can only get freedom if you believe in whatever transition you're gonna go, and that transition is gonna get you time, get you all the freedom that whatever you believe freedom is.
Monica, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Super excited to be here in freedom or nothing.
Glad to have you talking about freedom. What does freedom mean to you?
Wow. Freedom means a lot of things. But I think freedom for me is really the word, I will say authenticity, time, freedom of time, time to create, to think, have your own kind of time for yourself. Freedom is when you don't have restrictions or judgment of whatever you do, and have that kind of time.
Yeah, I think we've asked this question over 20 times, and time is probably the most common answer we get. Freedom to have the time to do the things that you want to do with your time, and have control of your time, right?
Yeah.
So we want to get into a lot of things today, but I always want to start with also childhood, right? And the question I ask is, if you had to view your childhood as a movie or a story, what would the title be and why?
Wow, this is deep. It's very early for these conversations, but what would the story of I don't know. I will say transition will be the title of kind of my life, because it's been a journey of many things that I've done in my life, through many stages, and it would be like transition, I would say.
Transition. So was it as a child, you've moved a lot, you've tried new things, and what made you say that? I'm just curious.
So I think transition in many ways. So I'm originally Colombian, and I was raised in Colombia, and I moved to the UK when I was 16 years old. I did 2 years of boarding school there. So that was my first transition. And then after that, I studied in London University, and I will say that was my second transition. And then I think that through also different cultures, being raised in Colombia, but then moving to the UK, I was exposed to a lot of cultures. My friends were all around the world. So I think that the transition between that typical Colombian girl to now being exposed to the world and having that kind of transition in my life to open my eyes to many things, not just people, but cities, but countries. And then meeting my husband, that he's French, so that was another transition. Not typically marrying a Colombian guy, but someone that is completely different from a different culture. I mean, we're the same kind of basis, but different country culture. So there's another transition. And then when we moved from London to Dubai, from a European country to the Middle East, which I think that for us was quite drastic back in 2008. So I would say that was our biggest transition. And then lastly, I think that my late transition was moving my career from being a lawyer to interior design.
Yeah.
So I feel that transition is the right word for my life.
It's absolutely the right word. Now, most people would say, if I ask them the question, they might have other answers, but their life for the most part is stagnant. They live in the same place. They're on the same people. Probably the same habits, do the same activities, same career. And if you really look at what's the reason for behind all of that, you can say fear of new, because when you transition in from one thing to the next, it creates there's uncertainty to it, right? You move from one country to a new country, there's uncertainty. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be the same? Am I going to like it? Is it going to be a bad idea? I don't know. You don't know till you try it. You've transitioned a lot, right? So do you feel that it gets easier with time, or do you still have that same fear when you transition from one country to the next, from one career to a new career, or do you have to build a courage for each transition?
That's actually a very good question I keep asking myself in terms of challenge. And I think that I hear from my friends when they change things in their lives, whatever they recently move countries, they go divorce, anything that involves change, it always comes with challenge. And this is something that people don't understand and people don't see from behind the scenes. I tell you, look, when I was 16 years old and I moved from Colombia, my beautiful home, and my family, moving to the UK was not easy. Like, I was crying for the first 3 weeks of my life. I missed my family. It was a different country, a different language. That was a huge challenge. There was an amazing experience within the course of it, but the beginnings are always hard. I would have to say the same towards my move from London to Dubai. It was not an easy transition. And a lot of people that know me knew that after 6 months I was going to give up. So, and then again, from my changing career, it was the same story. And the one thing that I must say is that through all my transitions, it just doesn't get easier. I feel like if you tell me tomorrow, okay, you need to move to Hong Kong, I don't think that I will have, oh yes, of course, let's do this, just because I had so many transitions. But I do believe in the word resilience in transition. So it is very tough at the beginning, but it's how long are you going to sustain that toughness, and then things will get easier. I feel that people tend to quit on the early side of things because they don't have that resilience and, okay, yes, I moved countries, so I didn't like it that much, maybe I move back. But if you stay grounded to your decision and then you have that resilience towards your decisions and your transitions, most likely or not, you're gonna make it.
Yeah, yeah, and I love what you said, that with change comes challenges, and the thing I realize is a lot of people also feel like with your comfort zone, when you're in peace, that's how things are going to be. But reality is sometimes change is forced upon you, right? You might be in a certain career and you think that you've got your safety net, and you should have tried something different, or maybe you had this a hunch that you want to pursue your calling, but then one day your boss just said, hey, goodbye. And now all of a sudden, chair just forced upon you. In my case, I had a beautiful country, and one day, I wake up and there's war. We didn't plan for a transition. We didn't plan to run away from everything we've known. And then we go from one transition to another country, school here, school there, friends here, friends there, language here, new language there. And it's massive. It really disrupted my childhood. But at the same time, I'm grateful for it, because I think those who can adapt, whatever change happens, it, like you said, it builds a resilience, and you can you can manage to handle many more obstacles versus those who just feel like they should stay in their comfort zone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So now let's talk about your recent transition from a career in law and now as an interior designer. How did that happen, and how has that been?
Well, it's not really recent.
Okay. Well,
so it was
latest one.
My last transition.
Yeah.
So I think that this was back in 2016, I think.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I have to say, it's not automatic. It was not a decision from day to night. Oh yes, I'm gonna quit and then I'm gonna become A and B. I think there is a lot of background and situations that I lived back then that made me transition. So I think that, let's start of why did I study law and why did I change careers? And I think that back in the day, not that I'm very old, but back in the day when you were choosing your careers, I'm sure that you experienced the same with your parents. There were careers that were going to give you a future and stability. And, both my parents are lawyers, so the tradition, and there's a lot of factors that come into your decision. And as a child, you don't really have a lot of power to say. You basically follow influences or follow what you've lived before. But that my creative side, I think that someone recently asked me that, when did that start? I think that was from the very beginnings of my life. And I think that the fact that I didn't pursue it from that early age was not the end of it. It may be the pause of it. So I did study law because, to be honest with you, I'm grateful for it. I did choose law because I'm a reader. I love studying law. I made amazing friends, an amazing community, but it was hard. It was hard for me as a Colombiana. My first language was Spanish. I studied in the UK. Graduating for law with a good grade was not easy peasy for me. Getting to the right law firm, neither. Being accepted as a Latino, her first language is Spanish. Lawyers are very well known to speak absolutely amazing and write amazing and all of these things. So it was a process. So for me, my journey within the legal field was not easy. So to give up, and then when I did finish my degrees and then my qualifications and my road to it, I end up getting into a law firm that I really wanted to get into, and it was very competitive. And so the decision of quitting was not easy, because for me it was not easy. It was also a struggle for my parents. There's a lot of background there. So, but whenever I achieved what I wanted to achieve within the legal field, at that time I was a mom of my second child. Time was not my freedom, as we spoke about it. It was a constraint. The moment where you're looking at your time as a lawyer, you have timers, and everything that you do needs to be timed. And my struggle was like, I don't want to get promoted. I don't want to spend more time in the office because I want to spend more time with my child. And anyways, that I think was my tipping point of, I cannot do this for long. I can't. Something that I will regret not spending time with my kids and not being there for them. But there's something that needs to change. And I think that the narrative started then. And how did I link to interior design? To be honest with you, it was an accident. It was a project that we had with my husband in the south of France. So my husband is a big fan of how I do things, and that creative part and the design part of a lot of things that we do through our lifetime. And he was like, look, we invested in this property in the south of France, in Nice. And he was like, we're going to do it as an investment. Let's make it look beautiful and rent it out and whatnot. You're amazing at this. These are the plans. Do it. And I was still working in my office, and this was kind of my little project. And I treated Manu as very seriously and as a client, and I did proposals, and I had my budget, and I started the whole project from Dubai. And then the moment that we went to Nice to do the installation of everything, he was like, okay, this is good. This is very good. You should start doing something about this. This is your exit. This could be like a calling. C'est ici means it's here in French. And this is where it comes from. So it's here, in this flat, in Nice, in the south of France. And then that was kind of the push to make a change. It did not happen automatically. I did not come to Dubai and open the company the next day, no. I started exploring the idea. I started doing free work for my friends, for my colleagues. So all my ladies that were pregnant in the office, I'm like, I can do your nursery. And, started just to have the feel, because one thing is for your husband to tell you, you're amazing. I mean, I don't know how objective is that. And I just wanted to have a feel of, can I do this? How can I transition? And then from them, it's a story of building up whatever we have today. So after, I think, 8 months of exploration, I decided to quit and just start CTC as a company.
You use the word quit, and I think it's a harsh word, by the way. And I'll tell you why. Because for me, quitting is this. For me, quitting is, let's say you want to make pizza, right? You buy the dough, you get the sauce, maybe you cut up the vegetables, like if you want to make a vegetable, whatever pizza you want to make. But then at some point you get bored. You're like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then you quit. That's quitting.
Yeah.
But if you actually go through and make the pizza, and then you take a bite or two and you're like, don't like it. Let me try pasta. I think that's fine. And we all have the right to do it. So for you, you went through the education, you did the qualification, you got the dream job that you wanted, you put in the work, and then you said, maybe it's not my calling. And I think if more people thought like that, if more people actually said, you know what, I've given this a try, it's not for me, let me try something new, that's perfectly fine. And we ought to do that. I wish more people did that, actually.
Yeah.
So for you, now you found your calling, but I think the other important thing you mentioned is that we always need that support, right? And I'm a big fan of storylines in movies. And if you watch, it doesn't matter what, any movie you can think of, like whether it's Karate Kid with Mr. Miyagi, right? I always say we need the guy who tells us, or the girls in that gives us the push, that tells us, hey, you know what? You can do this. I believe in you. And they become sort of like your guide in this new journey, right? Whatever, anytime you go. So you've had both of that, but at the same time, there'll still be challenges because it's a new venture. What were the biggest challenges, or the biggest challenge you faced when you made the shift and you started your business?
Oh, wow. That's the word, challenge. I think that you're right when you said about the support system. And to be honest with you, I think that was my biggest push. It was not just from my husband, but my friends and all of this. And then I think that when we started CTC was a little bit of a dream idea. The challenges come from many. I mean, in my particular case, obviously, I did not have the background. I didn't have the education. I didn't go to interior design school. So I think that the first challenge that you face, even with yourself, is, am I good enough? Am I going to be, is that proving to myself, to my clients, that I can do this, to the industry itself?
Yeah.
I think that is, the first part of reinforcing that, what, I have all the tools, I have all the knowledge, I have the creativity to create something special. And I think that my first challenge was proving what I can do without having the experience of the background. And with that, I think that is through, obviously, project by project and whatnot. The other side of the challenge when you start any business as an entrepreneur, I came from a very nice salary. Monthly is beautiful to have it. And I think that obviously when you start, in my case, I didn't charge for my work. I wanted to build my portfolio. It was important for me. The monetary aspect was not the key. My main focus at the beginning was like, okay, the first thing that I need to do is focus on what can I make this work? How can I, through my creativity, make this idea work as a business as well. So obviously, I was pretty much everyone. I have a team now, so I can very proudly say that I've done every single job of my team. So I've been my accountant, I've been the person that invoices, I've been my design team, I've been my procurement team, I've been my execution team, I've carried boxes. I mean, if I think about it, back in 2016 when we started, it's amazing how humans, we adapt.
Yeah.
So I did not know about the industry, anything really, because I was not exposed to it. And it was really the journey of doing absolutely everything, which was challenging because it hits a little bit the ego.
Yeah.
Back in the day, you're like, oh, I had my PA that used to do this for me and that. Now you're your PA. So it's challenging in the sense that there is moments that you feel very exhausted. There is moments that, I have 3 a.m.s, 4 a.m.s. You end up working even more than I was working before. The work balance at the beginning is tough. At the end of the day, back in the day, I had 2 little boys. So balance work was challenging, especially when you start a business. This story that people tell you, oh, you're going to have a better life. It's not a better life. You'll have freedom.
Yeah.
But you work hard. And that is that resilience and that. So I think that the challenges come from that side as well. And the fact that, at the end of the day, it's a little bit of like a gamble with ideas and
Yeah.
with, it's just how much you believe in it and how much you work for it to make it something special.
True. Now, one thing I've always said is that people always judge you based on your outcome. Someone will come to you today and see the outcome. They see the business and they see what you do. I'm like, oh, Monica has it easy. She just maybe goes into the business 4 hours. She gets to pick up her kids on time, and she seems to have free time because I see her at the golf club or whatever hobby you do, right? But they don't remember the time where you were lifting boxes and doing the invoices and all the other 17 things. And what I always say is that even though our outcome in the end might be different, but the start is always the same. Like you have to always do the things that you don't want to do. And this is where, the people, there's a separation gap, right? Those who are going to pursue their freedom and those who just dream about their freedom, is that you have to put in the work. There's no substitute for that. You have to do things you don't want to do. You have to do it despite the fear. You love to have, a nice, comfy salary. I mean, all those things are really what the sacrifices that you have to do or you have to give up to in order for you to achieve your dream. And anybody who's willing to do that, they have a much higher chance and to actually achieve their goals. And that's why I say there's no secret, right? What are you willing to put in the work? Now, one question I want to ask you is, when as a lawyer, you have a client, right? And this client comes to you because there's some sort of legal battle. It can be a client, it can be business, whatever it may be. And your vision and your goal is to get this client to win this battle. Just like a doctor gets a patient who's feeling ill, and their job is to make them feel better. As an interior designer, what is the ultimate goal? I mean, obviously there's a lot of emotion attached to it. There's a lot of energy. Like I can walk into one friend's house and have a certain feeling based on the energy, the setup, the layout. I can walk in somebody else's house or office and my energy changes. Talk to us how this impacts and what are some of the things that you've realized, in this field in terms of making people happy, lively, energy, etc.
Yeah, I think that you touch on a very interesting subject, which is experience and, improving the life of people in general. And I think that was the main thing when I started CTC. So I think that there is two aspects of it. CTC on the creative part and my creative part. I love to create, love to build something new out of nothing, something beautiful to the eye, but also to the soul. And then also there is the other part of it, which is the psychology behind interior design. And it is that sense of improving your day-to-day, whatever it is from a residential to a commercial project, is just to elevating your experience. And I think that's something that we really invest a lot of time. And believe me, when we onboard clients, the first thing that we do is that we go through this kind of discovery period. And for us, every client is different, every project is different, and you learn from project to project. But there is one common denominator with each of the projects, and is that making our clients, whatever it is. So let's talk about residential. It's something that we do quite a lot, and it's something that is quite personal. And who are our clients? Our clients are people that have lived in Dubai for how many years? They're probably expats like you and me. And what do we want to create here in Dubai, aside from safety and a dream job and, raising our kids, all of this? We want to kind of create our second home here, because where is home, right? And this was my first initiative when I started CTC. I struggled with the theory of, am I going to move in 5 years? Am I going to be 2 years? Oh, maybe I don't invest in this piece of furniture because I don't know how long I'm going to be there. And you live on this theory of the future. Why? Who told us these things? I think that CDC started because, okay, we're all experts in Dubai. We should create our homes here. We should feel like home here. Let's start the narrative. And this is exactly how I want our clients to feel. A lot of these people have lived here for more than 10, 15 years, and they've been away from home for 10 to 15 years. And what do we want to create? We want to create that sense of home, that sense of elevating your life, that sense of reward. You've worked so much for all of these years. You deserve to have this amazing place. Recently, a beach house, whatever it is just to elevate it to the level that you create a sense of home, but not just a sense of home, but a sense of belonging. Because we do have that kind of fear especially in the UAE. A lot of us is like, where is home? And you have a child that they're born here, but where is home for them? So if you start by creating that home space within interior design, and you can elevate your lifestyle. I mean, I think that after COVID was a big hit for residential, because that's where people really started valuing home and spending time at home and whatnot. But you can also change your lifestyle through the creative ways of how you design. There's things that you didn't used to do or don't do because you didn't have them. So, for example, recently we had a client like, oh, well, I don't really usually read in my bedroom. I don't have a lounge. It's like, yeah, you don't have that lifestyle because you don't have it. But why don't we create it? What if we don't create a space that after you come from a very heavy day at work, it's not just your bedroom, but it's a place that you can zen out and have your moment in that corner. So it's also creating experience, not just exploring of what you have, but what you can potentially envision in your life. Yeah.
Now, I think I saw on your website, everybody has a story, and you guys, exist to help bring that story to life. I might be paraphrasing here.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I have a vision of what I want. And as you know, maybe it's just me, but sometimes I find it difficult to articulate that, right? Like, what's the kind of home that I want? Now, you come in as an interior designer. I say, Monica, please help me. I want UNCST to kind of be my guide in this. I'm sure not every client will be thrilled. Like, I might say, okay, I thought you knew what I thought we discussed this, because at the end of the day, we're discussing vision, and then that vision comes to reality.
And then they're like, what is this?
And then I come in like, oh. So, what process do you use to ensure that whatever it is that I want and actually comes into fruition? And for those clients who don't feel the same way, how do you manage that?
Yeah. Well, okay, couple of things here. I feel that the first thing is that, as you saw in our website, and I think that ZTC itself has a specific aesthetic. And our clients usually come because they like that aesthetic, right? So I think that we start from a good point, but of course, different projects, especially commercial projects, they're not so much as bind for what we do. But I think that from the start, we have kind of a common ground. How we come about the process of getting to know our clients is, as I told you before, one of the most important steps with our due diligence with the clients. And I think due diligence is a word that I legally used to use, and now I apply it in interior design in the sense of we spend at least in the onboarding documents and the initial phase of our projects is really getting to know them and getting to know the needs. And there is one thing that we are very focused on, and it's listening. Having the process of sitting down, we have different ways. So we have something that is called the design quiz, which we have. It's a beautiful document where it basically tests you whether you like A, B, C, D. And then the aim of this document is actually for us to know what you don't like. So that phase, we start kind of grunting because there's a lot of things that we implement in a lot of our projects because it's CTC aesthetic, but that doesn't necessarily marry to all our clients. So we really need to tackle that. For example, small things like round versus really square thing, like very specific things that we tackle from the beginning. So we go through the process of onboarding our clients, doing that design quiz, and then we have forms. There is a lot of documentation that happens before we actually kick off a schematic design. And hopefully we tackle most of these issues that may come up, or maybe we include something that we're sure that he doesn't like this or whatnot. That said, as you said, I feel that, of course, and it's beautiful that you ask these questions. There is a lot of, we don't have a lot of feedback on that first design stage. We've been very fortunate enough to really kind of knowing how to read our clients from the beginning. And I think that the problems for CTC is not towards the design phase. We always have feedback and comments, but it's never changed the design. It's never come to that. It's always come like small, like, okay, what if we do this, but that. But our I think these are, I will say, like challenges that come with the clients is more on how to execute that design. And I always compare design to a marriage.
Okay, I don't know where this is gonna go, but let's try this.
And it's at the beginning phase of a project is always like that honeymoon. Oh my God, I love that design. I love this. I love what you did in my house. I love this. I love the architectural, the window that you guys did, this and that. Then we have the procurement and budget, which is like tension. Not divorce, but there is like,
I wasn't expecting this.
exactly. This is not what we agreed of. What is this? And then we have divorce conversations. Not that we're going to divorce the clients, but tough conversations in the execution side.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It is the industry. It's not CTC that is saying this. I think that I can speak for the rest of my peers. It is the core of our industry is that execution involves a lot of third parties that we don't have control of, contractors, millions of third parties that are in the middle, fit-out companies, this and that. We unfortunately don't have control.
Yeah.
We improve through the time, and we kind of are better in selecting our team members of whoever is involved in the projects. But it is challenging. And this is exactly where the problems come and how clever we need to be to manage our clients and how we can manage difficult situations in the process. Yeah.
But also, Monica, now we live in a social media world, right? So in other words, I might see things on social media that I like because everybody likes it. It's a trend. But you come in and you're like, I don't know if this is the right thing for you. I have other suggestions. So in a way, you have to have a certain level of confidence, a certain level of certainty from you as the expert to guide me in what I want. But then there's also the risk that I might not like it. Then I'm like, but Monica, I told you I wanted the pink and purple combined chairs on top of this blah, 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 right? So have you, do you feel this as a challenge? Is this something that you deal with?
Yes. And you said it rightly. Like these days, the exposure of design is like crazy. And it's a little bit sad if you ask me, because you lose a little bit of the authenticity of things. We have Pinterest, we have Instagram, we have 1,000 things that our clients now come with mood boards and visuals and printouts and copy paste from Pinterest, and they have this beautiful story to show you and to tell you, you know what, this is exactly how my house is going to look. So I think that communication from the beginning of the project is key with the client. I think that what we do is that we try to be very diplomatic in the sense that amazing research, this is great that you know exactly what you want. But I always tell them, you hired us for a reason. And the reason is to create something a little bit different that is what is out there. So we will take the overall global approach to what you want your house to be in terms of that, but we will not take any of these images, inspirations, copy paste, literal, because then you don't need us. You can just copy paste your Pinterest and whatnot. So I think that the first thing is that we actually have that conversation with the clients, and we tell them, and then we have one, I don't know if I should to reveal this, but I'm going to reveal it with you. We have this technique with our designs that is called the bold and the soft option. Okay, I'm not going to say much about it, but what we do with our clients and our designs is that the soft option is usually the design that is very much the narrative of the client, what they expect, the expectation. We do things, obviously, create, but it's something that they expected. And then we have the bold way where we go within the same kind of theme that we were briefed, but we go all out. Experimental, creative, something that they don't expect. And guess what? What does our clients go for? What do you think?
Creative, the bold.
Yeah, the bold.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, but I never thought about this.
Yeah.
Of course, you've never seen it. You've been inspired by all of these Pinterest and whatnot, but you have not seen maybe another version of your whatever you had in your mind. So yeah.
Okay, so now the other thing I'm sure is a challenge for businesses, especially one like yours, is that you have the vision. You have, even if you thought about it and you are convinced this is the right look for your office, for your home, but then the price, the cost, right? So how do you present the price? Because I'm sure there are some sticker shocks. And how are you able to convey the value of what you provide?
So you're talking about the like as a CTC, our fees or the budget for the project?
Well, there's two, right? There's everything, right?
So I think that, it's a very interesting question because I think that design has been a little bit undervalued.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a theme and a narrative that we talk with a lot of our peers, because I don't think anyone knows the amount of work and effort and detail that goes behind our work, and how much my team and I and everyone that I know in the industry put our hearts and soul into it. Because the beauty about this industry, unlike my other industry, is that what I see is that everyone that is in the industry, in terms of the creative mode, whether it's an architect or an interior designer or a product designer of suppliers, they all have this passion for design. So you start with that, and when you do whatever you do a job, but you involve that passion and that love for what you do, the outcome is 3 times better.
100%.
And because of that, we do feel that the work is undervalued, in the sense that, why can we not charge as a lawyer? For example, if the same amount of time is being put on, why can we not charge? So I think that, how can we perceive this with our clients? I think that the story behind your studio, your brand, and your portfolio says a lot about you. And that's where you can really implement your value. So, I can do this for you guys. This is how we take care of you. This is how it's not just the design, but the process.
Yeah.
Right? And then you have the budget of the projects, which is always as I told you, the divorce kind of interesting conversations. Look, and I think that that's a subject that you need to be very transparent about it. And I think that it's very important that we have that information beforehand. We have a lot of clients that when we ask, okay, so what is this budget? Oh, money, I don't know, we shall see. Or they have a very uncertain amount in their head, which is for us very difficult, because, we can design the moon and the skies and it's going to cost you millions. But if we're briefed properly from the beginning, we're designing in a very creative way within the expectations of the clients. So my answer to your question is the money subject. It is an issue. It has caused a little bit of controversy when it comes to design, procurement, and execution. And I think that we've learned the process, and we have learned also to really be transparent about budget from the front side.
Yeah.
And I think that once you have that relationship with the client and you tell them, look, There is an A way to do things, which is premium, beautiful, amazing, and expensive. And there is a B thing to do. But the problem that we have, and I'm sure that I'm speaking amongst a lot of people that are in the industry, is that in most cases, our clients want the A, premium, beautiful things, but they want to pay B. And how do we merge this? So it really, like, I think that the communication from the beginning, that discovery period, in that design quiz that I told you about, part of that is also involves budget. We ask a lot of questions. How much are you willing to invest in this, in that, in that? So we design accordingly, and then we don't have disappointment from their side. We don't have unexpected budgets. We don't have variations. We keep ourselves in this. And there is projects that, look, from the beginning, we are honest and we're like, look, with your budget, it's not possible.
Yeah.
What you want.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this comes back to what we were discussing before we started the episode, is about messaging, right? And this is obviously an area I've worked in for a long time. And what I realized is, there's a concept of price elasticity. I don't think people care too much about what something costs. I mean, sure, obviously there are very few people that might not be able to afford regardless. But in general, I think a lot of the time, the reason people don't buy something is not because they cannot afford it, is that they cannot justify it. And mostly that happens because the business, the entrepreneur, are not able to convey the value of their product or service to be much higher than the cost, right? So if I am buying, water, and I see, 100 dirham on the bottle, I'm like, I'm not paying 100 dirham for this water. But if for somehow it's made from like a special island that there's only like 100 bottles ever made, all of a sudden it has a story behind it. So I think a lot of businesses, they don't convey the story. And because they don't convey their message and they don't show why they're different, why their process is unique, all the work that goes into it, a lot of work that goes into it, the end user is thinking, well, rather than paying 100,000 dirham for this, I'm sure I can get it somewhere cheaper. And they can. It's not going to be the same.
100%. There is like a budget for everyone.
Right. So how are you able to articulate the value in a way that people just don't see the work, but they feel the transformation that this is going to, bring into their life, their energy, and make actually, like as you said earlier, improve all components of their life because of the work that you did?
Yeah. Look, such a difficult way to, how do we call it, like materialize it, like in one word. But I tell you different strategies that I feel that they have worked with CTC. I think that the first thing that I feel that now we started CTC in 2016, we're 2024, and we have a nice set of projects that we had behind. We're fortunate enough to work with amazing clients from the commercial to the residential side, with the industry itself. And that has gave us a little bit of value, right, in the industry. They know our product, they know what we do, they know the end result of it. And I think that's one of the incentives that people know, just because they've seen our portfolios, that they're going to get something special, whatever is good or bad, but definitely is going to be different. And I think that that's a very nice way to talk from 2024 side, right? But that was not my position back then. So I think that one of the things that I think that I took from my previous life as a lawyer was how you present yourself, how you sell yourself, how you create your cost estimate, your proposal, your first phase. And that's the one thing that I think I invested quite a lot of time and effort in the composition of it, which is how we tell our story through our presentations, how we explain our processes from A to Z, which is clear to our clients, and how we can also incorporate that narrative of exactly what you said. So, our work, it's in stages, and it develops through stages. So it's really how we tell the narrative of those stages, how many hours we put in, how many work we put in, what does involve. So we add value in our work through that first phase, because one thing is when people know you as a brand, as CTZ Design, and they come because, oh yeah, my friend did my house with you and referrals and all of that. Then we have the branding side, the credibility, our portfolio. But then at the end of the day, you always need to present your proposals to get the project. Obviously, the bigger the project is, the more tenders the client is going to get. So there's competition, right? Mm-hmm. So typically these days, our clients will come and they're not like, okay, we love you, this is it. Like, we'll sign with CTC. It usually comes with a lot of clients are savvy, and they're like anyone. Like, look, even myself, I'm doing my outdoor and I pitch to a lot of contractors, same. So the question is, how can you make yourself different through those proposals? And honestly, I will have to say that our cost estimate proposal and the kind of things that we put in, they're very much the first phase of it, and it shows the amount of work that even we can put in a proposal. We don't have a global, funny enough, we have a general template, but we really, when we get pitched for a project, we really do a lot of work behind the scenes of that project.
Yep.
So yeah.
One of the things also is that a lot of times when people come in and they're not ready to buy today. In fact, only 3% of the market, in any market, are ready to buy today. So 3% of the people that come to you, they're like, okay, we're ready. We're in the process of moving to a new house. We need your support today. But then there's other group, maybe 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 12 months from now, 2 years from now. And that's the majority. How do you communicate or at least keep the relationship so that when the time comes and they're ready to do business, they come and do business with you?
Yeah, I feel that in the sense, so your question comes into where my clients wants to engage us now or in 12 months.
Yeah, in most business, I'm assuming most people that you engage with are those who want to do the business today.
Yeah.
But as you know, you also have those like, all right, we'll look around. We're not ready yet, but we just want to shop around and see, compare your company to someone else's and someone else's. So whenever they're ready, you come to mind first.
You are so yesterday I had a call with a client that I did not remember. By the way, I'm very bad with names. In general, people that know me will know. And he spoke to us like 2 years ago. And he was like, look, this and that. So look, we have a mechanism of work that we have and work also that we can take in. And that also plays a huge factor on whether we can engage new clients and when can we engage these clients. I think that CTC Design Studio is also formed in a way that we really dedicate a good amount of our time with clients. So for us to take many clients at once, it's just the strategy of the company doesn't work like that. So whatever we have the capacity of or not, that's a question. That's a BD question. And usually we will preempt our clients and say, we'd love to take you. What are we thinking about like in 3 months when you have like a full team and whatnot? Because the instant kind of a reaction is like, yeah, business, let's take it. Don't say no. Because then you like shoot yourself. I mean, we're super busy. Are we going to really deliver 100% to this client if we have these other 15 projects? So it's nice that we have that mechanism. And I try to keep that kind of strategy so we are consistent with our design direction and our deliverables. Now, with clients that want to do projects within like a year or like 2 years, it also depends on their status, the status of obviously CTC capacity, but also their clients that have bought a place and the handover is I don't know when. So I think it's all about always keep a nice kind of word on CTC. I hate to reject projects just for the sake of it, or not take clients. There is obviously a process of due diligence and whatnot beforehand. And it's also that expectation of communication. Whatever, yes, it's possible to take you in 12 months. Yes, it's possible to take you within 3 months. It's just all about perspective and where we are as a business and where are they. There is a lot of projects, for example, that we often advise that even if the handover is in, I don't know, 12 months, we can still work on drawings.
Yes.
And that's an advantage because once that's the ideal client when it comes with just, let's kick off with the design and the architects and you do that free a lot of time and we have a really beautiful time to design and to make things, as they should be, not squashed. And then the clients will have enough time to tender the project to contractors and to have a really nice structure. So that client, for example, that contacted me after I think 2 years, they were super happy because they invested finally in their dream home. And then they were like, look, our handover is going to be in September, but we want to engage you now so you can start working on our design. So we're like ready to tender to the contractors. We have time. So look, it depends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever fired a client?
Oh my God, this is a very good question. Thank you for that question. I don't know. Look, I think that there has been very tough moments. I think look, as a whole, and I have to say this because I should say this, I think that part of who we are today and as a brand, that's InteriorDesign, I own it, I would say 50% to my clients, to the people that have supported the TCs, who believed in us. Bear in mind, 90% of I would say 70% of our work is usually referrals, so it is a strong arm. I have usually a very nice relationship with my clients. We usually are neighbors in Jumeirah Gulf State. So I bump into them one way or another. We became friends. There is a lot of a really nice relationship. But of course, as any business, and I think interior design is a service kind of industry. It's a consultancy where service and clients. Service and clients is usually difficult. And it's difficult, and it's all about communication, management, listening. I mean, you know about the every single skill that is needed for these kind of businesses. But look, there is times where the resilience, and of course, will and try to understand the client from all perspectives. But there is also times where you as a business is like, enough is enough, right? And what is enough is enough, and where do we draw the line? And I think that there is 3 things that for CTZ, for my team, is key, which is respect. For me, is a big one. Tone and the way that you communicate. And, I will say, as a majority, we have beautiful clients and kind and lovely, but we had occasions, I would say 3 occasions in the history of CTC, where unfortunately the boundaries were not there. They were disrespectful with my team. They were disrespectful with our work. They were also disrespectful with the workers, which I find that very, very triggering to a lot of things that I believe. And there were moments where, yes, I had to say on CTC's lifetime, I think it's been 2 times where unfortunately I had to have a conversation with the client and basically communicating in a very political, respectful way that unfortunately there was not enough connection. It's not about you, it's not about me, but the energy was not there. And, there was a time that I was going to lose members of my team because of the project. And that's where my calling came. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to have this conversation with the client. I'm going to help them find another interior designer. And I'm going to return them the fees because I wanted to be fair, you know? And it was the right decision. There was no connection. There was a very difficult situation with communication with my team as well. And it was causing stress, trouble, and psychologically, one of them was a little bit on the bullied side, which is not fair. And those clients have also, they're always the reason. No. And I think that that's one thing that within the industry, we really need to keep our boundaries, because we do put a lot of love into our work and time and effort. And a lot of this is not seen on a day-to-day basis. You've seen it on your renders, on your deliverables, but you don't see it on a day-to-day. And I think that once you put that line, I think, yeah. And then the other client that I tried to fire him, he charged me back, and I came back to the job but we changed dynamics. So.
So it worked all
So
the way.
yeah.
Yeah, you know, Monica, a lot of businesses have a list of who they do business with, but a lot of them don't have a list of who they don't do business with. And you're right, if someone is disrespectful, someone doesn't see your value, someone constantly complains, and they're constantly looking at what's wrong with the work, and they have that negative energy, of course you don't want to work with them. And I think that's a sign of strength when you can actually look at a client and say, hey, love you, appreciate you, but we're not right for you. But I see other, but if you don't have a system in place where you're getting consistent flow of clients, and when you're getting, the results you want for your business, out of desperation, a lot of businesses are stuck with clients that they hate working with, and it makes work miserable. And I've kind of experienced that in the beginning of my career, but today I can be starving. If I don't like working with somebody, I will not work. And it's really in the vibe. Like, in the first conversation, if I'm just triggered and I feel like this is not going to work, I don't do it. I know we have a few minutes. You've talked about transitioning a lot, right? What's one advice you can give to somebody who is in the cusp of changing careers, right? I mean, a lot of people that listen to our show, they might be in a corporate and they are looking to change, or they might be at a job that they don't like, or they might even be in business and struggle in the initial phase. What advice would you give them to, make it happen?
So I think that, look, transition, I think that involves a lot of factors in your life. But when you do make, or if you do want to make the jump, I think that one sentence that really resembles, and it keeps repeating in my mind, is like, just do it. Just do it. I mean, look, I have a lot of friends that are consultants, lawyers, all of this, and there is always a con and a pro kind of list. People usually tend to make decisions and they look at the positives and the negative side of it, and then they can be in that narrative for years, and they don't change, or they don't transition. And for someone that wants to transition, just do it.
Yeah.
Do it. One thing, not just do it for the sake of it, because obviously you need to have like a business plan and everything behind, but do it with a sense of believe in what you're gonna do. Believe it, not what people think of it, not what you think that you're gonna make money out of it, but believe it because you actually believe in your idea, your product, your business, you whatnot, as a person, right? And I think that that's something that resonates with a lot of people, that they tend to kind of have a step back. Do you actually believe in it? But truthfully, do you believe that this transition is gonna have a huge impact in your life, from a personal to a professional to a... Set aside the monetary side for the beginning. If it's successful, trust me, it will come.
Yep.
You just need to be resilient. You need to believe in it, and you just need to do it.
Yes.
Do it.
And I think this is the last question, and I'm sure a lot of that resembles is how we started with what freedom means to you. And if somebody wants to achieve their own freedom, whatever it may be, what advice would you give them?
If they want to achieve their own freedom?
Exactly.
I feel that it will go back to doing it.
Yeah.
It's a link. We have a link between the previous question and this question.
Exactly.
You can only get freedom if you believe in whatever transition you're going to go, and that transition is going to get you time. That is going to get you all the freedom that whatever you believe freedom is. Because for me, freedom can be time, freedom can be, authenticity, freedom can be not judgment. If your transition involves all of these words and all of these narrative, and just do it to get this freedom.
Awesome.
Right?
Monica,
Amazing.
it's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure.
Great
It's
having
been so
you.
fun.
We could have gone for another
I know,
3 hours, but
I know.
we'll keep it for another time. So thank you so much, and
Amazing.
appreciate having you here.
Yeah, so fun. Super fun.
Thank you.